All right, first graders, we are going to be doing a little bit of a different project today. Today we are going to be drawing with yarn, and that's a technique called embroidery. So to do your embroidery today, you are going to be grabbing a few things from the drive-thru. The first thing is a piece of paper that has a heart and some X's on it. You need to grab a needle. Now notice this is called a tapestry needle. It's not sharp, but it is kind of important. So please make sure that if you drop it on the ground, you pick it up right away. And if you see one on the ground, you pick it up right away, even if it's not yours. These can get lost really easily, and we don't want that to happen. You're also going to get a piece of yarn, as well as this little piece of paper today. This is called my threader. All right, so when you get to your table spot, a few of your tables will have a box or a piece of cardboard and a thumbtack. Now this thumbtack is sharp. If I poke my finger on this, it's gonna hurt. So make sure that we're using expected behavior and only using the thumbtack the way that we're asked. In fact, when we're not using the thumbtack, we're gonna keep it poked through our box. This way I don't lose it on the floor and my friends know where they are. So when I get to my spot, the first thing I need to do is write my name. This side with the X's, that is the back. So I need to write my name, Mrs. C, and my class code. Our name is always on the back. On the front side, they don't want to see our X's in our name, okay? So this is the back where my name is. My next step is I'm going to use the thumbtack and I need to press in right where the X is. So I'm going to poke a hole. Now you don't have to press super hard. It should go pretty easily through the box. Not too difficult. And if you're using a piece of cardboard that's flat to the table, the cardboard is just there to cushion it. Okay, so we're only trying to poke through the paper. If I flip it on the other side, you might be able to see that. There's these little holes. It doesn't have to go all the way through the cardboard. I just need it to go through the paper. So the cardboard is kind of like a cushion so that that sharp thumbtack has somewhere to go, but I'm really just pushing through the paper. So if it's hurting your finger, you might be doing something wrong, okay? I've pushed a hole through each of those X's. If I flip it over, I'm gonna see a heart shape on the back side. It's pretty faint. I'm gonna put my thumbtack down and give it to the next friend. All right, now I'm ready to start sewing. Now, if you were somebody who didn't have the thumbtack, you are going to do this step first because we've got to take some turns with the thumbtack. I am going to be threading my needle. So the little gap in the edge of the needle, that's called the eye of the needle, I need to get my yarn through that hole. Now, once your needle has been threaded, you are going to make a knot. Okay, so once again, to thread my needle, I'm going to fold my threader in half so it looks like a V. I'm going to put my yarn in the middle of the hot dog, put it in the bun. I'm going to put the bun and the hot dog yarn through the eye of the needle and pull it through. Now some of your yarn might have a knot at the end. Some of you will have to tie your own knot, and that's okay. Give it a try first, and if you can't get it, raise a hand and I can help you. To tie a knot, you're going to make a U, you're going to make an O, the tail of the yarn goes through the O and slide it down. Ready? One more time. Make a U, make an O, the tail goes under and through the O, and slide it down. All right, now I've got a knot on there, so my needle won't slide off quite so easy. If I pull, it definitely will. All right, I am ready to start my embroidery. So with my needle, I am going to go through the first middle X, and the first time I go through, I've got to kind of push. And if you push too hard like I just did, it will make a rip. And if that happens, that's okay. It's only paper. We know that might happen. So kind of be gentle. I'm going to pull until the tail gets kind of tiny, and then I'm going to use a little piece of tape no longer than my finger. I can cut the tape with my scissors, or I could just rip it. All right, so I went through the first X. Now I'm imagining that my needle is like the diver in a pool. So this is the top of the pool. My diver just dove down under the water, and it's going to come back up where this bottom X is. So my needle goes through that hole, and it's kind of small at first, but it will fit. All right, my diver's at the top of the pool. He's ready to dive back down. So I'm going to go back through the middle hole. All right, Diver's gonna come up through the next X. It's kind of tricky the first time, but be gentle, it will come through. And dive back down through the middle. Do you notice how my diver goes out and in, all the way around my heart? And I ran out of room. All right, if that happens to you, you're gonna need to take your scissors, trim it off, and put a little piece of tape there. Now, sometimes, friends, what happens is I have an artist that has a needle and it goes around the edge of the pool. Do you see how my needle went around the edge and it made a stitch that didn't go back to the middle? Okay, if that happens to you, you can do two things. One, you can just take the thread out of the needle and pull it through like this. So I took my needle off and I'm gonna back up my thread, and then it just undid my stitch. Sometimes if you have a knot tied on there, what you're gonna have to do is cut your needle or cut your thread from your needle. If that happens, it's okay, not a problem. Accidents happen, just trim it off and pull the yarn through. If you're feeling sneaky and you feel like you can do it, you can pull your thread to the side and see if you can wiggle your needle through that same hole to do a back stitch. If you make a mistake, see if you can wiggle your needle through that same hole to do a back stitch. If you can, artists, that's how you can fix the mistake of going around the edge of the pool instead of from top to bottom. Now, artists, you see how I always go out to the edge and always come back to the middle, and it's getting harder and harder to see where the middle is, and that's okay. Just kind of use your needle and gently feel around, because if we're too rough, we'll rip our paper. And if that happens like I did on my first stitch, that's all right. Keep going. Mistakes happen. We're gonna just embrace it and keep working. All right, first grade artists, when you look at your stitching, when it's finished, and this might take us more than one class, I can see the back looks really crazy. It looks like a mess. It's got all this tape, but if I flip it over, I've got a very cool heart shape. So keep trying. If you make a mistake, it's okay. Either do a back stitch or go peel back your thread, and to make another one, you can do it. I know you can. I'm so excited to see these awesome embroideries.